got about 45 minutes on that Tucker comment. I didn't like it. We had a bit of a battle on it. You can use Odyssey.com rewind for that. Lions, there's really not a whole lot to talk about because if there's one show on this station that's not going to do practice squad theater, it's this one. I just don't give a damn.
You're not breaking down the practice squad team?
No, that's coming up quarter past never. I think it's a little surprising. Yes, currently they have 2 running backs on the active roster. They signed one to the practice squad. They'll have a 3rd running back, guys. Can we all just relax? I think it'll be Craig Reynolds back here. But for the time being, we'll just let it breathe. So we've done a lot. We did some college football, but you have something. It's something you're going to be right on, and I don't like it. But go ahead.
It's off the heels because you've recommended quarterbacks and Swamp Kings. I was looking forward to watching that. I got a couple episodes in, and I started to cool on it. You finished it out.
Sadly. But I shouldn't have.
No, but I just wonder, bottom line, do we give too much credibility to these sports documentaries and not realize they're theater, they're entertainment? They're no different than any other Netflix or Hulu series out there. Now, it has sports content, but you almost have to take what it says with a grain of salt. For example, Swamp Kings, first thing you see is Urban Meyer sitting there and like, okay, well, he was the coach of the team. And then you start to realize this is a fluff piece on Urban Meyer.
The first 2 episodes were good because it was college football the way I remember it. It was the SEC. It just means more. And it was awesome. And it was like they were foreshadowing when things went bad. And, 41 of the 85 scholarship players got arrested.
Right.
Serial killer on the team, etc. And I go, oh, man, episodes 3 and 4 are going to be amazing. Rico, I watched episodes 3 and 4, and I'm like, wait, am I on the right channel? Is this the right planet? They featured none of it.
Right.
None of it. And I went, wow, how do you direct something under the guise of it being a documentary and not feature even an ounce of truth? Now, again, I love sports television. Like college football, we're dying for it.
Right.
But these are the programs you watch to get to college football. Swamp Kings, I couldn't have been more happy with the first episode, and then it got awful.
Right.
Now, like the other ones, quarterback, I didn't mind. I liked it because at least
it was behind the scenes. You knew the story that was going out. Maybe you learned something new.
It was football also.
It was football. But the funny thing, between week 0, in between the games, I started watching. It's called BS High.
I got to watch this.
Bishop Sycamore High. It's on HBO Max, or just Max right now. And I found myself bouncing back and forth between watching that and the games. This one, Mike, is probably closer to being a real sports documentary than just entertainment. The reason being, the founder of Bishop Sycamore High, Roy Johnson, is all throughout this thing, and he is totally honest. He's not trying to cover up anything. He is telling you everything that happened, and you're sitting there saying, you're a psychopath. And every time you think, well, you can't get any lower, oh, wow, you just went lower. You just did that. Now, for those who don't remember, Bishop Sycamore is the fake high school from Ohio. They're the team that went on to ESPN. ESPN fell for the bait and said they got the 4th hardest schedule. They're going to be playing IMG. Let's put them on prime time. IMG beat them 58-0. It was a running clock. ESPN realized halfway in the game they were duped. And this was a fake team. And
with fake players.
With fake players, and they couldn't get out of it. And some of the players, let's just put it like this, may not have been high school eligible. Some of the players may or may not have had kids in a family.
Watched, you felt like it was a real documentary.
It was
correct?
A real documentary.
Okay, versus Swamp Kings, which it turned out to be North Korean media.
It was. And I think that I think we give way too much credit because in my opinion, it all started with 30 for 30s. And when you watch The U, that felt real. That felt like you were watching history because the players would say the good and the bad. Swamp Kings was just, hey, everything's great. Urban, we had some Tim Tebow on this team. Yeah, forget about that Chris Leak guy. Tim Tebow was really the man, even though, yeah.
He won a national title.
But this one's good. This one, I highly recommend. It's depressing as all hell, but it's done where you're like, wow, this is the story behind this. This is the kids and how they got set up. And this guy is there from the very beginning to the end, and he knows he's a scumbag. He doesn't run from it. He tries to tell you that he's not like every other scumbag because he's an honest scumbag. True statement. He actually says those words. That's why it just became so compelling.
But no, I think the problem for me is the coverage of sports is so bad right now that I yearn for the documentaries because everything we get like on a nightly basis. I mean, ESPN or like, look at college football coverage. What we're about to watch with Fox's coverage of college football, Big Noon and the whole bit, it's turned into straight propaganda.
It is.
You have one of the guys on there waving a flag. You got they openly call themselves the Michigan Roadshow. Like, dude, you're a Michigan fan? I'm sure it's awesome. But for the other 13 schools in the conference, we look at it and they're like, this is a clown show.
Michigan again?
I just look at it. I look to the Netflix stuff, or I look to the documentary sports TV, E60, 30 for 30, whatever. Because I feel like everything else is so fake. It's so bad. Like, look at the NBA coverage. I'll give you an example. Nobody calls Kevin Durant out for fear of some faux reprisal. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God, a grown man with a burner. Who cares? It's okay to just say it. I don't like the way the guy behaves. James Harden, dude's a clown. It's not big deal. So all of it is so fake that I think it drives sports fans like me.
Right.
You know, Rico, I get excited about these shows, and you're right, more often than not, I get really disappointed. Swamp Kings was an outright lie.
It was.
They just straight up used the Men in Black stick and vaporized anything bad about Florida.
Because there was so much there. So the question is 248-539-9797. When you watch the sports programs, whether it's Netflix or wherever, do you realize it's entertainment or do you believe it to be facts? 248-539-9797, because I think that it's entertainment. It's not facts. Most of them are disingenuous. They hype you up, and this is no different than going to a movie where in the end, it's kind of like that, but they've changed around. Like The Last Dance. We were all in the pandemic. If you watched The Last Dance and you knew nothing about Chicago Bulls history and everything that happened, the Pistons didn't exist.
And Jordan didn't get kicked out of the NBA.
Right.
I mean, go play baseball.
That's what I'm saying. I think what you need here is you need an independent source. You can't have Jordan be a part of his own doc.
But you'll never get the access.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like a catch-22.
No. But see, I think if you're honest, it adds credibility. If you tell both sides of the story, the good and the bad, the statute of limitations is up. Yeah, I gambled. Yeah, I did this. Now I feel like I'm watching history. But when you whitewash this, this is just pure entertainment. This is a movie. This is like watching Game of Thrones or The Crown or something like that. It's not what you present it to be. But we're so hard up to watch sports stuff, especially right now. I was like you, man. 2 episodes in the Swamp King, I was like, this is a tribute to Urban Meyer.
Right, and I thought they were foreshadowing where it got rough, and then he's, crushing Ambiens, and I got to leave because of headaches. Just kidding. 41 people got arrested. They didn't do any of it.
Nothing.
But
I will say, if you want to watch something that's a lot truer, it's called BS High. It's on Max, and it's an hour and a half. By the time you finish watching this, you feel like you need to donate to somebody because feel that badly
I'm in.
For those players.
I'm in. 248-539-9797. And again, it's really just a conversation on sports television has come a long way. Oftentimes it's better than the games they put on. But there does feel like there's a big lack of honesty in a lot of these. Like the Johnny Manziel one that just came out, Untold. That was to use your term, a nothing burger. That they just glossed over Johnny Manziel post-football. They just glossed over everything. It was just like, yep, cut from Browns, fade to black. Wait a minute. There's a host of things here.
Right.
So, no, I'm with you.
Right. See, like I said, back when 30 for 30s and ESPN, those first ones were really good.
Pony Excess.
Right. Because
the Marcus Dupree story.
Honestly, I don't think anything will ever top the U.
That one was great.
Because when they're
It was
talking
two-parters, right?
the second one was
Yeah, because
I'm
of
talking the first one, they were like, yeah, we used to steal things and we used to do this, and we went to the club and he's like, man, they coming after us. He's like, who? Him? Wait, we act like we killers, son. They real killers. Whatever they say do, you need to do. So, but I like those. This is probably BS High is probably the closest thing that I've seen to something like that, where it's just honest.
Do you know
see
ones?
The kids?
I'll tell you the ones that were good because they were honest, but it makes you uncomfortable, which that's how you know it's good. Do you remember the show Last Chance U?
Yeah.
Okay. So when they got to the second season, it was the school in Kansas, Independence Community College.
Yeah.
And I mean, they didn't do anything to paint this coach in a good or bad light. He painted his own canvas, and he was awful. And it was the kid was a transfer from Florida State. I forget. I think it was Malachi Wilson. He was a 5-star recruit, but he had huge attitude problems. It came across like they didn't do anything to shape it. You just watched it, and you're like, yikes.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like we're getting a lot of that anymore. And again, you know how I feel. Like I don't like a lot of TV coverage with sports right now, including our local teams. It's not good. It's not honest.
Correct.
Don't want it.
Correct.
So, yeah, I will watch BS High. I know I have to. Dude, Swamp Kings was one of the biggest disappointments of the year for me. I was so excited when they hyped it up. And for them to just essentially wash any negative out of it, how do you take that job and direct that? And that's the product you put out. If those are the rules of engagement to make the documentary, don't make it.
Exactly.
And if it means I don't have Tebow in the doc, if it means I don't have Urban Meyer, so be it. But we're going to point out the good. But my God, 41 guys on this team got arrested. Right. And one of them turned out to be a murderer.
Pretty much. I mean, where's your Cam Newton and all?
Cam Newton roasted it.
He did. And that's when I was just like, I don't know if I even want to finish this. He was like, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And he just had a laundry list of things. And it's like, wait, none of this got addressed? Okay, you may have lost my interest.